Robbie Fowler should return to the squad. 300 years after it was first hung in a country house in Cheshire, a precious work of art was brought back to life today. The ornamental silk screen was made especially for the family chapel at Dunham Massey. It had become a bit rough around the edges over the years, but it's now been restored to its former splendour, as Eleanor Moritz reports.
It's taken an age to restore this period piece and return it to its historical and spiritual home. It's thought the silk damask, known as a reredos, had been hanging at the back of the chapel altar at Dunham Massey since 1710.
It was extremely dirty and dusty because it had been hanging here on display for probably about 300 years. And secondly, the silk had started to deteriorate. And when silk deteriorates, it starts to split and go very brittle. So there were a number of holes and breaks all over the piece.
Staff from the National Trust Conservation Centre spent 200 hours cleaning and repairing the screen.
If we'd left this piece of silk hang here for another 300 years, there'd be just threads left. It was time to carry out this work, to preserve it for the future. And without that, our future generations wouldn't be coming here to enjoy it.
The cloth was hand-woven by French Huguenots and commissioned by George Booth, the 2nd Earl of Warrington, who lived here. The household was summoned every morning to the chapel which housed it for daily prayers. The family and guests of the house would sit here in a raised pew at the far end of the chapel. The servants would sit in the pews down below, in strict order of precedence and under the watchful eyes of their employers. Nowadays, the chapel is used for monthly services by the local parish. There are plans to restore other pieces here in similar disrepair. The estate here welcomes thousands of visitors every year. Now they have something else to give thanks for. Eleanor Moritz, North West Tonight, Cheshire.
Now, it looked a bit damp in Lee when we saw Liam earlier, Diane. Is that pretty much the picture everywhere?
Yeah, that's actually good news for me because it means the forecast is going exactly to plan. The rain is arriving on schedule across the region. This has been our picture all the way through the day today. This weather system has been waiting in the wings. That was our lunchtime forecast, and let me just show you the latest radar picture. Now, this one came in at 5:30, so as you can imagine, we're almost an hour and a half on from there. So it is starting to progress across the region. To be honest, while it looks like a great big splodge, there's not that much in it, so it's light and patchy drizzle for the most part as we go through the next few hours. And eventually, I think fairly quickly, by about 9 or 10 o'clock, that rain should gradually start to die away. And overnight tonight, well, no clear spells. The cloud cover stays fairly constant, but it's a very settled sort of night. That wind has been very strong all the way through the day today. It's really backing down through the night tonight, about 10 miles an hour. And it's a warm direction, so under all of the cloud, temperatures no lower than 12 anywhere. The downside with the cloud is the base will lower over the high ground, so you've got a little bit of mist here and there, and I think quite extensive fog patches over the highest level routes. But then we go into tomorrow, and tomorrow really shouldn't be a bad day. First thing tomorrow morning, it might not look fantastic. It's rather grey, it's rather overcast, and you've got that mist and that patchy fog to get rid of. But once that decides to move away as you go through the morning, things will start to improve. From mid-morning onward, most places start to look at least a little bit more cheerful. I think bright rather than directly sunny everywhere. But once you get past lunchtime, the situation changes once again. Winds tomorrow, very light indeed. You can see very well from that chart, there's hardly any wind at all. And we've got some warm air, so even though the sunshine is coming on from about mid-morning onward, the temperatures will rise very nicely, and I think we're looking at 22 Celsius, which is 72 in Fahrenheit. Then the outlook for the next few days after that. It looks like Thursday is going to be a rather humid, muggy day. Now, the Met Office computer that aids in the forecasting does want to put a few showers across our region, so you might catch a few showers on Thursday. But after that, by about Friday and Saturday, things start to settle down again. Probably days very much like today, not necessarily very warm, but they should be dry and fairly bright. Stuart.
Thanks, Diane. Now, a little piece of history is being lost in Hindley. A family-run clog-making shop is closing down after 100 years. The owner says dwindling orders have led to the decline of the industry, so he's decided to call it a day. Tony Morris reports on the end of an era.
Since 1898, there's been a Mr. Hurst making clogs and repairing shoes at this shop in Hindley. Walter is the last. He's been here 50 years.
My father used to get me to come in on a Friday night after school, and I used to work Saturday mornings doing simple jobs on the machine, just polishing shoes and doing a bit of serving in the shop.
Clogs were the footwear for mill workers, miners, children. They were the trainers of their day. And this is why they were so popular. They were hard-wearing, waterproof, cold in the summer, warm in the winter, and most importantly, nice and cheap. But the man who's made these, and I suppose thousands like them over the last 50 years, has decided to call it a day. At its height, the shop had 7 staff who were churning out 200 pairs a week, rather like those elves in the fairy story. But now, Walter does a tenth of that.
It's been in the family for 103 years. So, I suppose the time has come. I've thought about it. The time will eventually come when I've got to pack up, and now it's crept on up fast, and the time has now come when I have to close the doors for the last time.
So, plenty of free time on his hands, time he can spend with his wife.
No, I can't have him around the house all day. I've got used to my own little bit of freedom, off to the golf club and things like that, so he'll have to go out to work. I think he's going into Wigan Pier to do about 4 days demonstrating clogs and things. So that should bring him into retirement nicely.
Clog dancing Molly, the latest addition to the Hurst clan, will wear them, but it's unlikely she'll be following in her grandfather's footsteps. Tony Morris, North West Tonight, Hindley.
Well, good luck to Walter and his family. I met them a couple of years ago. Nice family.
It's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm glad that Tony Morris did that story, because he's a big soft southerner, and I think it's about time he learnt about our northern ways, don't you?
Oh, there's going to be trouble.
Well, he's big. That's good.
Yes,
that's you.
there's going to be
Did you
trouble.
ever wear clogs? You don't have them in Newcastle.
We don't have them in Newcastle, no, not traditional.
We couldn't afford them.
Bless you.
Anyway, that's it for tonight. We're back tomorrow. Now the national news. Back to London.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Good evening. Kenneth Clarke has shrugged off a stinging attack from Lady Thatcher, who's pledged her support for Ian Duncan Smith in the Conservative leadership contest. She said Mr Clarke's pro-European views would leave the party hopelessly split. Mr Clarke said her intervention would deter young people from voting Conservative. Eurotunnel has asked the French courts to close a refugee camp near the Channel Tunnel terminal in Calais. Eurotunnel says the complex is being used by asylum seekers to plan how to stow away on its trains bound for Britain. It wants the French government to shut the buildings that are currently being used to house about 800 people. Rescuers in Malaysia say a British teenager who went missing on a mountain trek could still be alive. They found footprints and a shelter in a forest. Ellie James became separated from her family 6 days ago while descending Mount Kinabalu, the highest peak in Southeast Asia. Almost £80 million will be spent on increasing the number of CCTV cameras in England and Wales. The Home Office says the money will be used to target residential areas with high crime rates. New cameras will also be installed in shopping centres, car parks and hospitals. Michael Burke will be here at 10 and Hugh will be back tomorrow at 6 from me. Bye-bye.
This season will continue to bring you more football than anybody else. More live commentary, more match reports, and more of the scores and stories that matter to you. You won't pay a subscription, and you won't have to put up with advertisements interrupting the action. There's more football this season with BBC Radio's Merseyside, Lancashire, GMR and Cumbria. BBC Local Radio, for all the action as it happens.
Hello there, good evening. Well, it has been a wet and windy weather for northwest Britain today. You can see a swirl of cloud here on the satellite picture. The reason for this is low pressure, but that's going to move away quite quickly now through tonight. In turn, it'll allow high pressure to move in from the west in the second half of the week and indeed into the weekend. That high pressure should mean that many places will be dry with some sunshine. There are a couple of exceptions though. Over the next few days we're likely to see a few showers for Scotland and Northern Ireland, and there's also a small risk of some rain towards the far south of England. Now, we've still got some rain about now. You can see it here on our radar and satellite picture. As this batch of clouds slips southeastwards through the rest of tonight, we're likely to see most of the rain fizzling out, although it will turn quite misty and murky. So a bit of a slow start across England and Wales tomorrow, some mist and low cloud, but that should break up through the morning, spells of sunshine coming through, and for the afternoon most places will be dry, sunny spells and patches of cloud as temperatures reach between 20 and 25 degrees. Now on Thursday there's a risk of a few showers, particularly in eastern parts of England, perhaps some more persistent rain moving in towards southwest England late in the day. On the whole though, a good deal of dry, fine, warm weather around. For Friday and for Saturday, there's that small chance of a few drops of rain towards the south of England, some showers towards the north, but on the whole it'll stay dry, spells of sunshine, and it'll be quite warm. Bye-bye.
Summer Saturdays are sizzling with another movie premiere on One. Sparks fly at 6:40 when some of the nation's top comedians get a grilling from Anne Robinson.
Like me mum. Yeah, I'm attracted to.
Will it be your lucky night? At 7:30, the National Lottery winning lines with the National Lottery Thunderball and Lottery Extra Draws live. A blistering collection of bloomers at 8:15. All the best goals from the Premier League during the news and sport. Then at 9:05, a movie premiere smouldering with passion. George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez in Out of Sight.
Damn it, Jack, put the gun down!
It's hot. This Saturday night on BBC One.
Surviving in the wild was never going to be easy.
It's self-preservation, I think.
Just too cold to no.
Scotland is one thing.
It's getting real now.
It's been torture. My heart's not in it.
But the jungles of Peru will be quite another.
Life is not fair, is it?
Not everyone is going to make it. The heat is on. The final selection tonight at 8 on BBC One.
Right now on BBC One, a choice. Be impressed or be very scared.
Big, powerful, awe-inspiring, majestic. Full of hot air and a bit smelly too. All aboard for the strongest show on earth.